uh, celebrating the 150th birth anniversary of Sir Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay. May I please request the dignitaries to be seated on the dais. May I now request Mr. P. Roy, Director General of the Bengal Chamber, Mr. Ashok Mukherjee, Chairman of EIRC of Institute of Cost Accountants of India, Professor R.P. Banerjee, Chairman of Education Committee of the Bengal Chamber, Professor Sugato Marjit, Chairman, West Bengal State Council for Higher Education, Justice Chitatosh Mukherjee, May I now request Mr. P. Roy, Director General of the Bengal Chamber, to please deliver the welcome address.
Justice Chitatosh Mukherjee, Professor R.P. Banerjee, Professor Dr. Sugato Marjit, Mr. Ashok Banerjee, ladies and gentlemen, members from the media, a very warm welcome to all of you to this Heritage Chamber here, and on this very special occasion of celebrating the 150th birth anniversary of Sir Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay. The Bengal Chamber, an entity of around 160 years, is proud to organize today's interactive session on educating the future mind to celebrate this birth anniversary. The Chamber's vision is to be the most valued partner of commerce, industry, academia, professionals and governments for achieving responsible economic growth as well as accomplishing their societal and environmental needs. Going beyond the usual role of being the vanguard of industry and commerce, the Chamber has been closely associated with the educational and cultural developments of the city. The Bengal Chamber has helped in the formation of a slew of educational and cultural institutions: the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, the Indian Institute of Social Welfare and Business Management, IISWBM, the Nazrul Manch, the Academy of Fine Arts, apart from bringing the Sonnet Lumiere to the Victoria Memorial. We thought this would be an appropriate, opportune time to organize an interactive session to discuss and brainstorm on issues related to education, which creates pillars for our economic as well as social lives. We believe that this would be our best possible homage to the legendary Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, who became a fellow of the Calcutta University and soon transformed it from an examining body into a great teaching and research center. He was Vice-Chancellor of the university from 1906 to 1914 and again from 1921 to 1923, but led the university affairs throughout his life. He had an eye for talent and gifted Dr. C.V. Raman and Dr. S. Radhakrishnan to the nation. We are privileged that Justice Chitatosh Mukherjee, who is also a descendant of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, has very kindly graced the occasion. And we are delighted to have with us Professor Sugato Marjit, Chairman, West Bengal State Council for Higher Education. It's truly a moment of pride for the Chamber to have leading personalities like Professor Y.S. Rajan, Senior Scientist, ISRO, that is Indian Space Research Organization, who has flown in from outside, and all other personalities from academia and corporates who join our endeavor by agreeing to share their thoughts and with us as speakers and panelists. We are also expecting Shri Bhatru Basu later in the morning. He's right now busy with the Panchayat election activities out of Calcutta and is driving back. So he'll be a little late, but we'll have him with us. Well, enjoy the deliberations, ladies and gentlemen, and once again a very warm welcome. May I now request Shri Ashok Mukherjee, Chairman of Eastern EIRC, that is the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, Eastern Regional Council, to please deliver his address.
Good morning to you all. Thank you, Mr. Roy. Honorable Justice Sri Chittotosh Mukherjee, respected Professor Dr. Sugata Margit, Mr. Banerjee, Mr. Roy, Professor Rajan, my council colleagues, Mr. T.C.S. Prasad, Srimati Chitra Agarwal, Mr. Amal Kumar Das, former President of the Institute, friends. It is indeed a rare privilege to take the podium today and share the dais on the occasion of the 150th birth anniversary of a stalwart of education, a doyen of Bengal Renaissance, Sir Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay. I also feel proud to join the program representing a body of professional education, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, which professes a cost and management accountancy, ensuring the employment of the youth. Now, for one who has stood second in the entrance exam of Calcutta with a first grade scholarship at the age of 15 in 1879, topped the BA exam with Harish Chandra Award and Premchand Rajat Scholarship, obtained MA in Mathematics with first class first, and also MA in Science, and then went on to take the Bachelor of Law with Tagore Gold Medal for 3 successive years, received Doctorate of Law, had been Fellow of Royal Society of Edinburgh. No word is sufficient to describe his talent. So I better do not venture that. Sir Ashutosh's life encompasses the 3 clear distinctive phases. The first as a learner, when he has sailed smoothly along the multidimensional knowledge streams, acquiring degrees after degree. The second as a disciple of law, joining as Tagore Law Professor in Calcutta University and practicing law in the Calcutta High Court, and then went on to become the Chief Justice of the Calcutta High Court shortly. The third and most major phase captures the towering contribution made by him in establishing modern education in Bengal, reaching out to the larger masses through liberating doors of multidisciplinary studies in the Calcutta University. Here he acted twice as the Vice Chancellor of the University for a total span of 10 years in 2 spells. He converted the university from an examining authority to a center of postgraduate research and training. For a pioneer, vision of the far and near are essential. Sir Ashutosh had extraordinary vision beyond the visible. So was his courage too, and which earned him the title of the Bengal Tiger. Rabindranath Tagore remarked, quote, "Men are always rare in all countries, through whom the aspiration of their people can hope to find its fulfillment, who have the thundering voices to say that what is needed shall be done." Ashutosh had the magic voice of assurance. He had the courage of dream because he had the powers to fight and the confidence to win. His will itself was the path to the goal, unquote. He truly believed that in education rightly lies the secret of human welfare. At a crucial time when Bengal was passing through a major political upheaval, after partition of Bengal in 1905, Lord Minto invited Sir Ashutosh to take the charge of Calcutta University in 1906. Minto, in a letter to Morley, wrote, "His evident force of character impressed me." Unquote. This character has been projected time and again by him. In his speech in the Senate, December 1922, he said, quote, "I call upon you as members of the Senate to stand up for the rights of your university. Forget the government of Bengal, forget the government of India. Do your duty as a senator of the university, as true sons of your alma mater. Freedom first, freedom second, and freedom always. Nothing else will satisfy me." Unquote. This resembles very much the words of another contemporary, Swami Vivekananda. Quote, "Tell the truth boldly, whether it hurts or not. Never wander to weakness. If truth is too much for intelligent people and sweeps them away, let them go. The sooner, the better." Unquote. I'll share another incident. Lord Curzon, once on being refused by Ashutosh about his request to Sir Ashutosh to pay a visit to England, remarked, "Tell your mother that Viceroy Governor General of India commands her son to go." Prompt came the reply from Sir Ashutosh, "Then I will tell the Viceroy and Governor General that Ashutosh Mukherjee refuses to be commanded by any other person except his mother." Unquote. I recall Swami Vivekananda again. Strength is life, weakness is death. Sir Ashutosh's belief that European knowledge should be brought home through the medium of English. This is relevant even today. His emphasis on teaching and research has laid the foundation for a cultivation of knowledge and education in Bengal. In his convocation address of 1912, he observed, quote, "In order to bring the postgraduate teaching up to the standards of the best of the Western universities, more diversification and specialization in the postgraduate course was necessary. The lecturers selected for such teaching should be specialists in their particular fields of study, who could give the students the results of the latest study on the subject. These are not to be found in the textbooks, but had to be gathered from specialist channels." Unquote. These words were told 100 years ago, which we repeat to our faculties still today. He could spot the best talents early, as already mentioned by Mr. Rai, C.V. Raman, Mr. Radhakrishnan, P.C. Roy, Brajendranath Shil, just to name a few. He introduced comparative literature, anthropology, applied psychology, industrial chemistry, ancient Indian history and culture, Islamic culture, of postgraduate studies in Hindi, Pali, and Sanskrit. His contribution to modern education has been summed up best by Rabindranath Tagore, another contemporary. As he said, quote, "Ashutosh was engaged in the task of liberating the mind of the whole India and laying the foundation of the treasure house of knowledge." Unquote. His journey has always been towards light from darkness, as captured in the Upanishads, Tamaso ma Jyotirgamayo, which is also the logo statement of our institute, which I represented today as Chairman of the Eastern India Regional Council. The institute feels proud to be associated with such an event. I wish the program every success. Thank you.
May I now request Professor R.P. Banerjee, Chairman, Education Committee of the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Director and Dean, Eastern Institute for Integrated Learning and Management, to deliver the theme address. Professor Banerjee.
Namaskar, Namaste, good morning to everybody. Honorable Justice Chittotosh Mukhopadhyay, Honorable Professor Sugato Marjit, Mr. P. Roy, Mr. Mukherjee, sitting on the dais, Honorable Professor Y.S. Rajan, sitting in front row, second from the right corner of the front row, and dignitaries from our state and from other places, ladies and gentlemen. Today it's indeed a very auspicious day for us. Bengal Chamber Education Task Force, we call it, had thought of taking up a challenge when we found that 158th birth anniversary of Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, is being observed, celebrated so profusely. It's done last couple of years. You have seen the celebration. It's the third year, even now it's happening. The same for Swami Vivekananda is happening across the country and also overseas. We had observed in a meeting of the committee of this education task force in Bengal Chamber that probably our heart is bleeding in the absence of, delivering a responsibility of recognizing a person who has really, in true sense, kindled light in our society at a point of time when it was unthinkable. So we had a meeting, and during the meeting, just at the end of the meeting, I thought, I remembered about Professor Y.S. Rajan. He's a great scientist. I have got a strong respect for Dr. Kalam and Professor Y.S. Rajan. A very strong respect for him. I thought that I will contact him first, see what is the response coming from him, whether he will be eager to participate or not. If he says yes, then we find that we have passed the litmus test. I gave him a call on his personal mobile. And immediately, Professor Rajan responded, Professor, with your permission, I want to, mention our personal dialogue, sir. And he responded saying, if the country were not, enlightened with the presence of a person like Sir Ashutosh, then the world wouldn't have got a very brilliant scientist called C.V. Raman. So I will certainly make it, I will certainly go there, leaving aside all my engagements and all my programs, because I want to pay my tribute to a person who has really created gems in our country and offered the human civilization persons like C.V. Raman, Sir C.V. Raman, and also Professor Radhakrishnan. Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words that day. I consider you as a scientific sage of this modern world. My regards to you. And then we picked up. And our members were, we have worked hard to make it happen. With these brief words, I'll just make up brief. I think I'll not extend more than 10 minutes, on Sir Ashutosh. And what is that we think about him? Just very quickly, I'll, kind of browsing through. We have, detailed discussions in our panel sessions. Now, in the year 1835, when this William Bentinck appointed Father Adam about this present education. I'm not getting much into the historical details, but some highlights is needed to appreciate the unique role of this great legendary person whom the nation has very, it's so pity the nation has really forgotten this person. The nation should have honored him every corner of our country, and the nation has really not done that. And only in Bengal, in a few places in Bengal we have been doing. But still, let's kindle that lamp and let's see what happens next. Now, what is the mentioning in the minutes of Indian education about the Macaulay's view? We must at present do our best to form a class who may be interpreters between us and the millions, whom we govern, a class of persons, Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. So see, that was the basic purpose of, starting Indian education to rule and govern this country. And there wasn't a single inch an element of concern for human development in the country. That was the first observation and belief. And there is the filtration theory which those who have studied him and the education progress in our country, they know. Now, instead of beginning with schools of lower, filtration theory is, whether education is a top-down or, spherical. When we come to our Vedic civilization, we try to observe our Vedic civilization. I'll just, mention two examples. One is, sage Gautama to Satyakam. And again, this Satyakam, who became a sage of all four Vedas, a very unique personality in him, and between Satyakam and Pippalad, Rishi Pippal, Seth Pippal. Now, in these examples, India has put across the theory of spherical. Is a spherical concept wherein education has to have a multi-dimension and all-dimension. From whom we learn? The answer should be we learn from everyone. This tree, this woods, this path, these inanimate objects, these living creatures, human being of any color, creed, taste, preference, any age, any description, any other object we learn from. That's the holistic view, Indian view of education. Here it was mentioned that you educate the top class and it will, percolate down. That is the filtration theory. And then what is the motto behind the formation of the University of Calcutta? The Act 2 of 1857, it mentions, it has been determined to establish a university at Calcutta for the purpose of ascertaining examination of the persons who have acquired proficiency in different branches of literature, science and arts, and rewarding them by academic degrees as evidence of their respective attainments. Now let's see, what was the observation about Sir Ashutosh in those early days? Professor Ronalds, I'm talking about Professor Ronalds, told in his convocation lecture about Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay for his success in examination. He's mentioned, the senior wrangler of the year, if I may borrow the phrase from Cambridge, is Ashutosh Mukherjee of the Presidency College, who stands first on the list of BA graduates and is the winner of the Asian and Vizignam Scholarship of the Harishchandra Prize for Mathematics. Now his education, is the topper all through, is a very profound person, he had that brilliance all through, that's known to all of us. And now let's talk about the direction towards the faulty character of the nation. Now gradually we'll come to this point. Nowadays Bengalis are progressing much. If Bengalis can run college in such a way, then the government will not have much to do with this. We can take over the charge of higher education and all its responsibilities. When we find that this word responsibility is being used by him, he means it. The responsibility is a profound, responsibility all through, is a total responsibility. Let us see what he suggests now, what is his observation. Now, after 8 years of serving as a Vice Chancellor of the University of Calcutta, you know the span of the university was so high, and the scope was so wide. It was a university with many countries of up now. It's such a kind of thing. The last 8 years, in truth, have been years of unremitting struggle, difficulties, and obstacles, kept springing up like heads of the Hydra, each head armed with sharp and often venomous fangs. Plans and schemes to heighten the efficiency of the university have been the subject of my daydreams. They have haunted me in the hours of nightly rest. The university concerns I have sacrificed all chances of study and research, possibly to some extent the interest of family and friends, and certainly, I regret to say, a good part of my health and vitality. Very important, see the extent of sacrifice. Then he brings in the concept. He's a person, we call him tiger, Royal Bengal, he's like a Royal Bengal tiger. And one British gentleman, used a bad word. He had used a bad word, which I'm not quoting. Used a bad word which, they don't understand the meaning of, many of them don't understand the meaning of Royal Bengal tiger. What does it reflect? And, they are used to have bulldogs in place, like, so that's their observation, that's their angle of, observation. He says, I deny most emphatically that it is necessary or desirable to have any provision in the law which may possibly convert the university into mere departments of the state. It is quite possible to stunt the growth of a beautiful tree by constant pruning and too affectionate care. It's a very interesting point that he has put across. Probably relevant to the world now, even in many places. The university must be free from external control over the range of subjects of study and methods of teaching and research. We have to keep it equally free from the trammels in other directions, political fetters from the state, ecclesiastical fetters from the religious corporations, civic fetters from the community, and pedantic fetters from what we may call it a corporate repressive action against action of the university itself. Now, what is the offer? There was an offer for 2.5 lakhs, maximum. And there were certain conditions. And he responds, 2.5 lakhs. And you solemnly propose that you should barter away your independence for it. What authority, I ask, have we, who have assembled here tonight to barter away for, is in the Senate, barter away forever the rights and privileges of this university? What will Bengal say? They will resign tomorrow. They will go into banishment rather than take money under these humiliating conditions. What will posterity say? Will not future generation cry shame that the Senate of the University of Calcutta bartered away their freedom for 2.5 lakhs? Will then I am prepared to seek concurrence of my minister for your reappointment as Vice Chancellor. He said, I am so sorry.